we've been sold a story, a very specific, very comfortable story. Go to school, get good grades, go to university, get that degree, and boom, you're set. You enter the workforce, you climb the ladder, you buy the house with the white picket fence, and you live the American dream. But if you've been paying attention to the cracks forming in the system, you know that story is dead. We are watching the collapse of the traditional career path in real time. It's what some insiders are quietly calling the graduate jobpocalypse. But this isn't just about fresh-faced 20-somethings unable to find an internship. It's a symptom of a much deeper, much darker rot in the global economy. A perfect storm of artificial intelligence, corporate greed, and a financial house of cards that is wobbling violently. And the scary part? The people running the show, the CEOs, the central bankers, the masters of the universe, they don't have a plan B. Let's look at the data, because the numbers don't lie. Entry-level jobs are vanishing. We're talking about a 33% drop in job vacancies for new graduates in just the past year alone. For the first time on record, the unemployment rate for graduates is actually higher than the overall unemployment rate. Think about the implications of that. The smart kids, the ones who did everything right, are the ones sitting at home. Why? Because the corporate structure is mutating. We are moving from a pyramid shape, where you have a massive base of junior workers supporting the top, to a diamond shape. You've got the CEO and the sharks at the top, a bloated layer of middle management, and nothing at the bottom. The gatekeepers have decided they don't need entry-level workers anymore. They're looking at AI and thinking, why should I pay a junior lawyer or a junior accountant a salary when an algorithm can do the drudge work for pennies? But here is where the short-term thinking of the corporate elite is going to backfire spectacularly. If you don't hire people at the bottom today, where do you think your senior leaders come from in 15 years? If you wipe out the first rung of the ladder, the whole thing eventually crashes. But the CEOs making these decisions today won't be around in 15 years to deal with the fallout. They'll have cashed out their stock options and moved to their bunkers in New Zealand. But wait, it gets worse. We were told that the robot revolution would come for the blue-collar jobs first. We were told the truck drivers and the warehouse workers were the ones in the crosshairs. But the system pulled a fast one on us. The layoffs we're seeing right now, almost 1 million job cuts announced between January and September 2025, aren't hitting the factory floor. They are hitting the office towers. We are seeing a bloodbath in white-collar jobs. Management, analysts, consultants, these are the six-figure earners. These are the people with the nice mortgages and the leased BMWs. In the banking world, they call these people prime borrowers. And this is where the graduate crisis turns into a full-blown financial catastrophe. See, the US economy is basically 3 raccoons in a trench coat pretending to be a functioning system. Nearly 70% of the US GDP is consumer spending. We don't make things anymore, we just buy things. But recently, that spending has been propped up almost entirely by the top 10% of income earners, the wealthy, the prime consumers. So what happens when you start firing the very people who are single-handedly holding up the economy? You get a death spiral. Klarna, the buy now, pay later giant, just issued a massive red alert. They're seeing prime borrowers, people with good credit scores, using installment plans to buy groceries and pay bills. These people are maxing out their credit cards because they've been laid off, or they're terrified they're next. Household debt has hit a record $18.6 trillion. Delinquencies are surging to levels we haven't seen since the Great Financial Crisis. Subprime auto loans are collapsing. We are looking at 3 million vehicle repossessions. The engine of the economy is stalling, and the people in charge are pouring sand in the gas tank. Now, you'll hear a lot of these corporations blaming artificial intelligence. It's the perfect scapegoat. Sorry, John, we have to let you go. It's not personal, it's just the algorithm. It's the future. But let's follow the money. Is AI actually replacing all these jobs? Not really. At least not yet. Wall Street has gone completely manic for AI. If a CEO gets on an earnings call and doesn't say AI at least 50 times, the stock tanks. So, we are seeing a massive wave of what experts call AI washing. Take UPS. They cut 14,000 managerial roles. Take Amazon. They slashed 14,000 corporate jobs. The narrative, efficiency, technology, the future, the reality. They overhired during the pandemic. Interest rates are high, Money is expensive, and they need to cut costs to keep their bonuses fat. But if they tell investors, we're in trouble, the stock drops. If they say we're pivoting to an AI-first strategy, the stock goes to the moon. It's a hustle. We saw this with Klarna. The CEO went on TV bragging that their AI chatbot was doing the work of 700 people. It sounded great for the shareholders, but then, quietly, they had to walk it back. They realized they had cut too deep, that the customer service was falling apart, and they actually had to start recruiting humans again. Same with Duolingo. They implied they were replacing contractors with AI, got massive backlash, and then the CEO had to scramble and say, no, we haven't laid off a single full-time employee. They are faking it until they make it. But in the process, they are destroying real livelihoods. However, even if the current AI capabilities are overhyped, the intent is clear. They want to break the bond between the human expert and the human novice. This is the hidden cost that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. For hundreds of years, we've used the master-apprentice model. You learn by doing. You sit next to the expert. You do the boring, repetitive work, the drudge work. You draft the contracts, you crunch the numbers. And through that struggle, you learn the nuance. You become the expert. But now, companies are giving that drudge work to the AI. Law firms like Simmons & Simmons are going all in. They have tools scanning thousands of documents in seconds. Great for efficiency. Terrible for the junior lawyer who now has nothing to do. If the machine does the learning, the human cognitively offloads. You stop engaging, you stop thinking, you become a button pusher. And when you become a button pusher, you become disposable. We are creating a void of talent. A generation of workers who have the degree, but none of the skill, because the machines rob them of the practice. So, where does this leave us? We have a broken job ladder. We have a debt-fueled economy teetering on the edge. We have a ruling class that is perfectly happy to automate you out of existence to save a few points on the quarterly margin. This is why, suddenly, the idea of universal basic income UBI isn't just a fringe theory anymore. It's entering the boardroom. Andrew Yang was talking about this years ago, the freedom dividend. He saw the math. He saw that if you replace millions of truck drivers, call center workers, and retail staff with software, those people can't buy stuff. And if they can't buy stuff, capitalism breaks. Even the tech CEOs, the guys building the AI, are starting to get nervous. The head of Anthropic is basically raising his hand saying, you guys should probably tax us. Why? Because they know what happens when you have 40% unemployment. They know that when you have millions of military-age males with no jobs and no prospects, things get volatile. They would rather pay a tax than build a fortress. We're seeing pilot programs, like in Cook County, Illinois, handing out cash. And guess what? People didn't blow it on luxury goods. They used it to survive. But UBI is just a patch on a leaking dam. The Federal Reserve knows the system is fragile. They're already signaling the end of quantitative tightening. That's fancy banker speak for, we're going to turn the money printer back on, and we know what happens next. They print money to bail out the system. The stock market goes up, the assets of the rich inflate. And you get inflation. Your savings get devalued. It's a hidden tax that steals your wealth without them ever having to pass a law. This is the new normal. The graduate Jobpocalypse isn't just about bad luck. It's a structural failure. The social contract, work hard, get ahead, has been voided. If you are waiting for a corporation to save you, you're going to be waiting a long time. If you're waiting for the government to fix it, well, look at the debt clock. The only way out is to realize the game has changed. The old skills memorization, repetition, following orders, those are dead. The machines do that better than you ever will. The future belongs to the adaptable. It belongs to the people who can learn meta skills, the ability to learn how to learn. It belongs to the people who understand that the volatility is the point. The corporations are protecting themselves. They are cutting fat, hoarding cash, and buying gold. They are preparing for the crash. The question is, are you? Because when the diamond shape finally collapses, you don't want to be the one stuck at the bottom.